Hello and welcome to Shamullahcast. My name is Fairburn. I'm joined by Josh and a research man, Frank. And today we're looking at the long-awaited sequel to James Cameron's Avatar, Avatar 2, The Way of Water. It's done pretty well so far. It's hit 1.4 billion worldwide. So, safe to say it is fairly popular, just like the first one. Alright, so, Josh, what are your thoughts?
I'd honestly say it was pretty much honestly worth the wait, to be honest. It's a really good adaptation, like sequel to the first one, I suppose. I think this is the movie that James Cameron really wanted to make in the beginning, to be honest. We all know he has a bit of a water fetish. And it just feels like this is exactly what he's always wanted to do. Like, every movie he has made has been a step towards this, making the technology to make this. Like, everything he has done has been just to create this movie, and I feel like it's all paid off. The writing isn't the best, let's be honest. It's not, the narrative isn't the best, but I don't think that's what anyone's coming here to see. You're coming here to see the world, and I think the movie does a good job at showing you that world. And people complain about the length of the movie, and, how they found it quite boring. But the thing is, I feel like that's James Cameron trying to say to you, well, I might not get to make another one, even though I know we are getting another one, but I'm going to give you as much of this world as possible in one sitting, just in case you never get to come back again. And I really appreciate that.
I think that's fair. I think the duration kind of plays into the how long it's been. I mean, the first one came 2009?
Exactly, so you want to get back into the world again, don't you? You don't want to snip it and then fuck off again, do you? You want to see everything and get enthralled in the world and live in it.
I did enjoy being in the world a lot. Just hanging around. I suppose that's what the first half and act and a half even, sorry, is just hanging around. You're seeing new things. You're just being around with these characters and stuff.
They're just living their lives.
Yeah,
and I think it takes 45 minutes, I think, for the actual plot to kick in. I think before the actual situation starts, the catalyst for the story. But that's good though, because you have to catch back up with these characters, because they're not going to be in the same position. They have a family now. There's like 4 kids, and each one of those kids has their own development, and you have to understand who they are and why they are the way they are, and that's perfect. And they have an adopted human child, and he's ugly, and that all comes together, to be fair, to make this little world that has come together. And there's a syndrome, actually, that people tend to get, apparently, I haven't seen it myself, obviously, called Pandora syndrome, where people loved the first movie so much, when they left the theatre, they went back in and watched it again, and they genuinely got depressed because they wanted to just live on Pandora.
Jesus.
And they still try to live like an RV to this day.
That's kind of... I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I mean, that's nice, because the only thing I've heard about reactions is people have had heart attacks during this. I don't know if either of you have seen that.
Speaking about watching it, though, one thing I'm going to say as a negative, I don't really think the 3D added to the movie.
No,
and I know
agree.
Everyone said a lot about the 3D for the first one and this one, and I didn't get the chance to watch it then. I was too young and on 3D. But looking at it now, I'm just thinking, this is somewhat taking me out of the movie a little bit. I would rather just watch it as a movie. The 3D, it doesn't make me feel like I'm in the film. It just made me feel like it's coming out at me and going, oh, look at this, there's a knife. This is a knife going to stab someone.
Yeah, 3D's never really done anything for me. I've never understood the hype. Alright, Frank, what were your thoughts so far?
Well, I loved it. I wouldn't put it as far as I'm one of the Pandora effect people. But,
you're going to be like Spider
living in the woods.
The best part of the film, quite clearly.
With his stupid dreadlocks.
Yeah.
But no, I loved how we managed to get back into the film. I'd say not much has changed, but visually, everything.
Yeah, it kind of felt like you didn't really miss a beat, if you know what I mean. It felt like we hadn't really left the world in the first place.
Yeah, it's a nice clear transition between the two.
Yeah.
When it comes down to what you enjoyed about the movie, what would you say you actually what would you pick out were your favourite parts of this movie? And that goes for both of you.
I'll tell you what, I did like when the youngest son, his actual Navi son, teams up with a whale or whale creature thing.
I really like that.
Oh, when they formed the bond.
Yeah, I was going to say the bond between them was very nice.
And I get the point they were trying to make about these whales being very intelligent, and they pushed that a lot in the movie. But there was something so strange about them having subtitles. I don't know what it was. Maybe I'm just a bit racist to space whales. But like seeing these whales have subtitles talking to the Na'vi was so strange to me. I don't know. Maybe that's the point, but I don't know.
Well, I didn't mind it because they're all meant to have connections with these creatures and these space animals or whatever, and I would have preferred them to be like, "Hello, I'm Dory the talking whale."
I know, but then I also would have preferred it to be like they're like learning from body language, kind of like sign language, so to speak. Like they're so intertwined with these animals, they don't need to speak English or like learn the whale language. They kind of just know what they're doing from
I just kind of assumed that's what it was, but then the subtitles were for us.
Yeah, they were doing sign language. Like, you could see them.
Yeah, when they first meet, and
they're doing
Naruto
shit with their fin.
Yeah, and he's like, "Thank you for not eating me like that bastard shark thing."
Oh but that's those two. But then there was no subtitles there. But later on in the movie, when
all the
whales as a pod come back to their the tribe, and they all go out to meet them because that's like a yearly thing for them. The wife is just blatantly having a conversation with the whale.
Oh.
She's like, "Your son is beautiful," and she's like, "Thank you." How's your pregnancy going? She's like, "It's fine, it's fine. I'm very blue and very pregnant. Thank you very much for asking."
Yeah. Okay. That's a bit weird.
Another thing about the whale I liked is they sort of drew between what's the book called now? Moby Dick. The captain of the boat is so like fixed on going to kill that whale.
Yeah.
That he will go down with his ship. He will be the last one.
Yeah.
See, I felt like, and don't get me wrong, right? Whaling is bad, whaling is evil, and so is like killing animals. It's all wrong, right? But I feel like they pushed it a bit too hard in this. Like in the first one, I get the point. It's meant to push home how bad humans can actually be, but it was so drawn out and so evil when the humans are like, "We're gonna kill this whale," and they kill the whale, and you think like, okay, what are they gonna do with this whale? And they go, "We're gonna get the juice from his brain as the MacGuffin, and we're gonna use it to sell back to the humans, and it's gonna stop aging." I'm like, why does that need to be in the film? Couldn't the humans just not kill the whale for meat? Like, it just feels like a MacGuffin for the sake of being a MacGuffin.
Yeah, but they're wasting the rest of the whale then, aren't
But that's what I mean, though. Like, it is just, I don't know.
I thought that was very unnecessary. I don't know. I'm gonna say like you said, Josh. The story isn't really what people are coming back for, and I think with James Cameron, it's very, very, very style of a substance. It's not, I think he wants to be like, "Look at this, I made this. The way what's going on."
Which is kind of funny because before Avatar, he was the reverse, realistically speaking. Like budget-wise, with Terminator and stuff, the budget was quite comparatively, it was quite low. But then you were drawn into it because you wanted to see the characters like Sarah Connor and people like that, and the way they react to this world. Titanic's a bit of a different thing. The budget was huge, yeah, but let's be honest, you're there for the characters. You're not there just to see the sink ship, are you? You're there for the love story and things like that. And I suppose in the first movie as well, actually, Avatar-wise, like, people talk shit about the love story, but I thought it was quite good, actually, to be honest with you. A human becoming one of the aliens and then fall in love with them, and then they touch their little ponytails and they fall in love and they have lots of little alien babies.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, it's the classic boy meets girl.
Yeah,
exactly.
Touch.
So, one thing as well I didn't like, really, was some of the characters not getting much development when they should have.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'd say the characters that got sidelined, so Neytiri, which is Zoe Saldana's character, and I'd say Jake Sully actually got quite sidelined, and I'm not gonna lie, Sam Worthington, as boring as he was back in 2009, in everything he was in, I think he's done a good job here, actually, and I feel like he should have been given more to do, and I get why they push them aside. It's because they want their kids to take up the mantle and be the new main characters in the next 27 sequels or whatever, and that's fair enough, but I feel like Zoe Saldana is a bit of a powerhouse of an actress,
yeah,
and 100%. She was sidelined completely. And you've also got to think, right, on expenses as well, the fact that these characters cost millions just to have on screen for a second, so they're putting Zoe Saldana on the screen costing millions, and then she's barely in the movie! Like, why pay for her and all these effects if she's going to be barely in the movie?
Yeah, I think they try to do too much and then do too little at the same time. I think they're too focused on, like, showing off the world and stuff, which obviously that's the point, you know what I mean? They're not, they're obviously not in the real world, they're in a different world, blah, 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 and all that stuff. People want to see it, and that's the whole point of Avatar, is because of the effects. And, like, I think the first one still looks good, but I don't know, I think the script needed a bit tightening up or something, because like you said, no one's really got a lot to do.
Yeah, it's spread out very thin on all the characters. Like, everyone is just kind of, like, chucking together, like, 2 or 3 plots each, and none of them really get resolved. And maybe that's because we're getting so many sequels, and they're going to resolve everything in the sequels, and that's fair enough. But shouldn't a movie stand alone?
Well, this is the interesting thing, because James Cameron said, if people don't want to, if Avatar 2 doesn't do as well as I hope, then it can end in such a way where you can round off all of the films. But I don't think it did.
I think what he was trying to say was the third one is done. Like, the third one is going to come out regardless of how this one does. The third one is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think the third one is where it could be supposedly rounded off.
Yeah.
I think. But again, though, like you were saying, like we were both saying, actually, I think it suffers from Halloween Kills syndrome, which is feeling like a second chapter.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really... There's not too much... kind of like... It doesn't feel like there's much... like... gravitas. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Gravitas. Like, nothing bad could actually happen. Like, for fuck's sake, one of his kids dies. Spoiler. And, it doesn't really push anything forward, because he still has 3 more kids, and let's be honest, that was the least developed kid anyway. So, like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, also, another thing I disliked about this movie was the fact that the 2 sons just looked identical. And I know they didn't act identical, but most of the time they did.
That was one of my main problems. I couldn't differentiate between most of the kids, and I thought that's probably where some of the weakest effects were on the actual Na'vi themselves. Like Sigourney Weaver's character, I thought she looked kind of stupid looking.
She got bug eyes.
Yeah, I know they're aliens. I get that, and they're not. They're meant to look uncanny, but like, there's uncanny, and then there's like.
You are taking me out of this movie.
Yeah, then there's like an aging woman's face on a child.
And that's one thing that I wanted to talk about, actually, with Sigourney Weaver in this movie, because I didn't know she was in this. I didn't look too much into it, to be honest with you, before watching it. And the entire time I was watching the movie, I just thought, why does this child sound like a grown woman and every other child sounds like a child or a teenager? And it just bothered me the entire time until I got home and I checked, and it was Sigourney Weaver, which makes sense because it's a child in the movie. But I was just like, what the actual fuck is going on here? and I watched some interviews and stuff afterwards, and I was looking into it, and Sigourney Weaver was actually really, really like interested in playing the character, plainly because she thought, well, this is a new avenue for me. I can now play any character of any age, of any species, because CGI can do that for me.
She's gone from killing aliens to being an alien.
I know, she's done it. Look at her. She's done everything. She's come full circle.
Yeah.
And she did a good job, though, to be fair. Like, you got to think about it, being, what is she, like 70 odd, I think?
Yeah, it's not bad, it's just jarring.
It is very jarring.
Thing. Especially, like you said, they've got, like, actual... Oh, I suppose I say actual. They sound like and act like actual kids. She's just kind of like... I'm troubled, and, I'm just being Sigourney Weaver.
And the funny thing is, she does... When you did the right there, that's exactly what she sounds like for the entire thing. And the thing is, she took classes and everything. Like, she sat in a classroom with kids, and they were all doing their normal schoolwork. Yeah. And she just sat there and like learnt how children spoke.
Jesus. You know what? You got to respect that. Like,
well, that's just James Cameron. I can guarantee he told her that this is happening.
He was like, "If you don't do it, I'm going to beat you with a stick, Sam Raimi style."
and the thing is with this movie, a lot of things like James Cameron pushed for, like things like that, like it has to happen. Like he said to everyone when they signed on for the contract, they all thought they were going to be like diving in like 3 foot of water, like popping in and out. He's like, no. You're going to be 30 foot underwater with no breathing apparatus because Na'vi don't use breathing apparatus, so it's not fair.
Oh, fuck off.
In fact, Spider got a breathing apparatus though in real life.
Oh,
he was like, well, he's human, so he wouldn't need one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, you got to keep the star point.
He's like, I need to kill Zoe Saldana. I need to kill the cast.
Right, well, while we're talking about him and our gripes of the film, I hate this kid, and I hate his face, and I never want to see him in anything ever again. I hope his character dies.
I have no idea who he is, and I'm happy about that as well.
I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but I just do not like him.
I know what you mean, though. Also, it's probably because we are the movie is full of these CGI characters, and he's the only human one in the movie. So you're there for the Na'vi, and then he's just standing there.
And then when he's doing the Na'vi things, you're kind of like, you giving me second-hand embarrassment.
And it does.
You're embarrassing me in front of these blue cat people.
And it does make sense because obviously, like when kids are raised by wolves, they gain wolf mannerisms and so on.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, though, you just feel cringe looking at it. Like he's hissing.
Yeah.
This human, this human man-child is hissing at you. This Tarzan with space aids is hissing at you. And You know, what is going on? Like, why is it? And I get why they put him in there. You know, it's to kind of be like, look, he's here. He's a connection for the villain, and we haven't spoken about him yet, but we will very soon after this spider discussion.
Yes.
And you know, he's there for him to have a connection, because obviously they're humanising the villain in this one. I think when in the first movie he was genuinely just black and white. I'm the villain, everyone. I'm going to kill all the native people. Why? Because I'm bad.
Because they're savages.
Savages.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's basically blue Pocahontas.
I'm people talk shit about that, actually, and I'm fine with that, because let's be honest, people interpret movies and stories into other formats all the time. It happens all the time. You know, some people will reinterpret something as a horror movie or so on and so on. So I'm fine with it being Pocahontas in space, because it is still a different narrative. Do you know what I mean? It is fine.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, I get
again,
why that would be done.
And going back to what we said earlier, the plot is just a driver so you can see the effects. Let's be honest. So it's okay. It's okay. You know, if it was trying to go for an Oscar for the narrative, maybe I'd be a bit more, okay, this is not good.
Yeah,
but
it's
fine.
I think they kind of know what they are.
Exactly.
Whether or not they're trying to pretend to be more than they are, I don't know. But I think they know that, like, oh yeah, you know.
But
look
also,
at this.
I think we've got to think about it as, you know, they've written 4 sequels to the first movie. We've got 1 sequel now.
Yeah.
I think we can't fully judge it until if all 4 sequels come out. Do you know what I mean?
This is the question. Would you want to, and for both of you know, obviously, would you want to see like 3 or 4 more sequels? Because to be honest, I probably wouldn't.
I'd like to round off the trilogy.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get, obviously. I don't know if I could sit down for another 2 more after that, mind. And maybe that's down to the fact that they're so long, and like we said, it's good in a way, but then also...
I think a bit lackadaisy with story
exactly,
beats.
And I think it was fine, like the length was okay, because we waited so long.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? Like we said, but if we're getting it every 2 years, or every 1 year, or year and a half, like Star Wars... We get bored.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I think it's a bit like Incredibles 2 syndrome. You know what I mean? The first one, you know, it's great, it's making like loads of records, everyone loved it, blah blah blah, and then you wait so long, obviously you're going to be excited or interested in a sequel, and then it kind of doesn't really, you know, it's great, it's not bad, but it just doesn't really... That's my opinion.
It doesn't hit the beats that you wanted it to, plainly because
it doesn't reach the highs of the last one.
Yeah, because your expectations were so high, because you waited so long, the hype train was too much.
Yeah.
Which I'm quite shocked, actually, the hype train didn't really start until about a year ago.
Yeah, I mean...
And the movie was in development for the entire time.
Yeah, it's weird, because like I feel like people don't really talk about Avatar unless there's an Avatar film coming out. You know what I mean? Like, Avatar came out, everyone talked about it for ages, and then the effects, and then
and that was it.
Yeah.
And let's think about it.
And then it stayed put until there was news of the sequels.
Exactly, and people will forget about this, unfortunately. I think they will forget about this as well, to be honest. Like, there's not... Like, it's not something I'll take to the grave, like, oh my god, I remember the time that I watched Avatar. Like, people talk about when movies change cinema. Like, they said the first one changed cinema. People said that Alien changed cinema. I don't feel like this is going to change cinema.
Yeah,
and I know this discussion seems mostly negative at the moment, but it's not. It really isn't. It's just plainly because there's so much movie that there's so much to talk about. There are going to be a lot of negatives naturally.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I think the main problem is. There's just so much movie they can't streamline literally everything.
Yeah, I have quite a few problems with it, but I don't think it's like they're not like bringing it down for me. I just kind of think, I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does make sense. I wanted to talk more about the villain, as we did, but we just spiraled off. But Quaritch in the first movie, like I said, was a black and white villain. Basically, he's just there. He's just General Quaritch. He's there to kill people, and that is his job. In this one, he's brought back as an RV, and he has a son now, being Spider. And how did that make you feel? That he's a bit more 3-dimensional.
Well, he had a son in the first one.
Well,
he was literally just brought in for that tiny little bit to try and like...
Was he? I thought he was retconned.
No.
Oh, so he was in the first movie?
Yeah,
Also, Jimmy was planning this the entire time then?
Oh, yeah.
He wanted stupid Spider-Boy.
He's mapped it right out.
Yeah, because it said at the start of this second movie that when they got rid of all the US Army, the Marines, whatever they were, they had to leave him behind because he was a baby and they couldn't...
Couldn't go in the cryopods,
That's
wasn't it?
One, yeah.
I like the fact he's been fleshed out a bit more. The rest of his squad, though, are still just angry army men, and that is it. That's all they're there for.
They were just brought back to die.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. How angry would you be now, right, if you were brought back from the dead as an alien to fight the guy who killed you, and then you die in 2 scenes.
You get murked. You get stormtroopered.
Again. Again. For a second time.
Like, things we did. Oh.
Literally though, he's like, right, he's like, literally in the beginning speech where they're all like sitting around in the little army room having a chat, and he's like, right, this time we have our skills and we have the body of an RV, we have the advantage. And then 10 seconds later, Zoe Saldana pings an arrow into someone's face, and he's like, there's not even a word to say, this guy's, no, he's just dead, he's gone, he is. But I think the point of them was to like prop up Quaritch himself, though. Like his main point, like they were there just to prop him up, and his development was the main focus. Obviously, he's going to be returning because he didn't die in this one, even though he was kind of meant to, I suppose. But his son saved him for literally no reason.
I was going to say, I'm not going to lie, I was quite confused when he just came back, and he's like, I'm a different person.
Well, I suppose,
but he's not.
Yeah,
technically, but technically not.
I think he was just going by the point it's not the same body, but then he does share the same memories. So, it's like, when they were saying he's a different person, I think that's them opening up the doors to him maybe having a character arc, and maybe not saying betraying the humans, but at least starting to realise that the Na'vi and Jake did what they did for the reasons they did. Like, he can live like that, like he can think like them now.
Yeah.
And it's a bit too literal that you put him in an RV body to show that. But I suppose it's just a push point for the narrative, I suppose, isn't it? I think, anyway. I don't know what he's going to do in the next few, to be honest with you. Is he just going to go, I hate you, Jake Sully, again and again, until he eventually turns around and goes, maybe you're okay.
Again and again and again and again until they're both dead.
Maybe he'll just live in the woods as Spider. Who knows?
Hopefully, and we never see them ever again.
Also, I know this is a stupid little nitpick, right? But do you know the breathing apparatus for the humans? I know it'd be dumb if they brought it up all the time, but did you notice that, like, they never run out of air? Did they ever explain why the breathing apparatus is never run out of air? No. Like, Spider's got one on the entire movie, and he's never like, I'm getting a bit flustered for air here. He's like diving in the water, he's running through the trees.
Because he's breathing in it, and it's awesome alien. No, I don't know, I'm talking.
I know at the start of the movie, and the other one as well, they were like interchangeable canisters.
Okay, that's fair enough then. But like,
in the second one though, they don't show him changing it at all.
And plus, Spider is a little naked boy. So like, where's he hiding these canisters? Up his little spider bum hole? I don't understand.
His web sack.
And so yeah, I think the villain was a lot better this time round. What do you two think about him?
Frog, gone. You go first.
Oh, actually, do you think they should have gone the route of a different villain? Because I have an idea in my head of what I would have wanted for a sequel, but I'll let you two go first.
I don't think they should have brought him back for this movie. I reckon they should have kept him for the next one.
I'm fine with that.
They should have had a new villain, or like maybe one of his underlings to be promoted and carry on his work. And then in the third one then, they bring him back to tell him, stop being an asshole.
Yeah, I would have preferred something like that, because like, I don't know, I was just kind of, when I saw Bowl of Quaritch turn up, I was a bit disappointed. I was like, you again, like, you were just so generic. Like, he was a bit, I like the relationship between him and Spider Man, yeah. But, that was alright. Like you said, it gives him a bit more development, and he's not just black and white, and, you can see that he does care about Spider and...
But it's not his kid, remember?
Yeah, even though it's not his kid, because he's a different man.
Oh, I know.
Like, that kind of annoyed me, because he said it like 4 or 5 times. I was like, yeah, but like, you were talking to yourself in this recorded thing.
Yeah, and you picked up your own skull and crushed it symbolically.
Yeah! He's like, I'm different.
This life is dead to me. But I'm going to...
Still living my last life.
Oh,
come on, Bowl of Quaritch.
I think
you lie into us, Spire.
I'll tell you what, though, what I would have liked from a sequel, personally. Obviously, I'm not a fucking Hollywood writer, but I would have preferred if the humans, kind of similar to what Frank said, actually, didn't really return in this one, and it was more like a tribal conflict in this one. Maybe 2 tribes were going at war with each other.
Yeah, with the water tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's called the Way of Water. Like, I would have preferred, like, maybe they go there and they're like, welcome you dirty land people, and then, like, maybe there's more conflict.
Maybe, but, we don't know what the conflict is, obviously, but maybe they go there and they realise, like, fucking hell, how are we going to fight these water people? They know exactly what they're doing in the water, we aren't at home here, and they have to learn the way of water, and then eventually, maybe then, they kind of find some common ground, because we are the same species, and that could kind of, like, push over in real life to how humans seem to hate each other over race, about religion, and then in reality we are all just the same.
Yeah.
So
you could have trimmed the film a lot.
Exactly, and
well.
exactly. You could have trimmed the fat of all the humans, and then at the end, right at the end, like the beginning of this one, the human shuttles arrives. The human shuttles all arrive, and they're looking up, and then that sets up the sequel.
Yeah,
and I think everyone would have been fine with that as well.
And you can cut out the stupid fucking whale anti-aging juice.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't need the MacGuffin, and I do feel like that might have been interference from Fox, though.
Yeah, probably, because I think it hurts the story more and it makes it feel more generic.
Exactly.
You've got. I mean, like, let's be honest, these characters aren't Shakespeare. These characters are quite flat. Like, Bowler Quaritch and Jake Sully. I think they're both a bit
hit or miss.
Yeah, maybe mostly miss. And like, it is style of a Simpsons, and I think like James Cameron knows that. And just to add a MacGuffin, it just makes it feel a bit more generic. And like, I don't think it is. Although at least I don't think it should be. I want more out of it.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I mean. That's why I think the movie I just threw out there would have been a lot. It would have suited the narrative and the entire world a bit better. Because if it's just Pandorans on Pandora or Na'vi, I suppose, then that's all you have. You can fully develop the world then, isn't it? You don't have to concentrate on the humans at all.
Yeah.
Even though this movie is pretty much exclusively Na'vi and barely any humans, it was still a little bit too much human, to be honest.
Yeah.
But again, I suppose that's to push the deforestation stuff and everything, which again is horrible and evil, and we are bad. Humans are bad, let's put it out there. But again, it's pushed a bit too hard.
I agree. But sorry.
It just feels like pushing an agenda is fine, especially when the agenda has good heart in it. But we know anyway, though, like, it's still bad. Like, do you know what I mean? James Cameron is an amazing director, and I feel like he could have gone a different direction with that. That's all I think, anyway.
I'm just thinking, if it was like entirely Na'vi and there's no people and there's all blue cat monkey people, do you think you could sit through that? Or like, do you think like the general, general audience would like? Do you feel like that's a bit too much?
I feel like
for people.
Well, I feel like
I'm not saying that people are stupid.
I feel like
but I mean like, is that a lot to just look at like?
I think it could be a lot to digest. I do, but I also feel like maybe a Western audience, more so America, maybe not. I feel like they wouldn't be able to take it personally.
Yeah,
but. If you look at the box office for Avatar, as in, like, the original one, and a lot of this one, the majority of the box office comes from the East, like China, for example, and they are a lot more in touch with, like, things like being, like, spiritual and things like that than the West are, and things like that. So I think they'd be okay with it, to be honest with you. Because, things like anime, which comes from the East, obviously, and all things like that, they are all quite, like, a lot of spectacle, a lot of crazy things going on, and they thrive over there. There's a lot of escapism. In America, I think they need that anchorage.
Yeah.
But in the East, they don't. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
No, 100%. I get that. Yeah. I'm just thinking because it's CGI. It's good CGI. Don't get me wrong, for the most part. But I think like, with something like animation, I feel like Western audiences like over here and stuff, we could take that a lot more because it's animation. I think if it's like too much CGI, it could be nauseating for some people.
Yeah, I can see that actually.
So like, I get why they would want,
especially with the 3D as well.
Yeah.
It could actually make you quite nauseous. What do you think they will do with a sequel, though? Like, where do you think they'll actually go? That's the real question.
I reckon they'll find another tribe. Maybe, I don't know.
I think they've said that there is another tribe actually.
There you go then.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie, right? I saw a screen. I obviously don't believe everything you read on the internet, but I saw a screenshot and it was someone that worked on The Last Airbender, and he was like, we have to add that to our title because fucking James Cameron's thing comes out, and I think they're adding a fire tribe, but I don't know how true that is. Well, it was either that or an earth tribe.
I don't know how canon this is anymore, but back in the day, I remember there being 15 tribes.
Right.
Like across Pandora. They might change that, obviously.
Yeah. What the fuck other tribes could they have? Wind, water,
space. And a part of me feels like I hope they don't do that, plainly because it just becomes a gimmick. It's like, let's see Jake Sully and his family in the new location with the new Na'vi, And I like the Amaticaya clan. That's the water one, I believe. I like that because obviously water adaptations, that makes sense, doesn't it? But like,
especially with James Cameron.
Exactly. But where's he gonna go with fire and a desert? I suppose you could go there, and the tundra as well.
But then, like, if all these sequels are just like Boulder Quarry chasing them to like Super Mario levels, you know what I mean? Water, land, grassland, earth,
it's gonna get boring, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't care.
Are we just gonna repeat the same narrative over and over again to the last one? And like we said, where the villain turns around and goes, "It turns out you're not so bad, kid."
And then they shake hands and they look, and there's just a dead planet because they chased them.
And then the Na'vi decide to attack another planet then, and then the humans follow them to the new planet, and it all starts over again with green aliens instead.
Yeah.
Because that's a possibility, though. Like, what if that does happen every movie? Are we willing to? And the thing is, we aren't even talking about the narrative here. We're talking about just the fact that it's just plain, like the way the movie looks. Are we actually just going to sit through a movie plainly because it's a different setting over and over again?
I wouldn't.
Like, it's nothing happening then, is there?
Yeah.
And we've seen it.
The thing is, I do trust James Cameron because this is quite clearly his passion project.
Yeah,
like,
to be fair, the whole Avatar universe.
You know what I mean? He's worked towards this for his whole life, and like I think he knows what he's doing. But like at the same time, I suppose I really can't see it going anywhere else. But I suppose that's part of the mystery, though. It could be a good thing. It could work in its favour in a way if you don't know, because it keeps you coming back wanting more.
Or do you think he's going to stick with the water till at least 4 or 5? Because obviously he loves water so much, and obviously we've sat with the water clan now, and by the end of this movie they have said, like, we're not going back to the forest now, the water people are our people. Do you think they're going to stick with the water clan and develop everyone more, and then kind of like get rid of all the problems we had with this movie and develop everyone to a point where we're like, okay, these are actual characters, not just CGI creatures on the screen?
Or they could, as you said, stay with the water village, but other tribes are coming to them for help.
Maybe, yeah, because the humans obviously are still there by the end of this movie. It's not like the first one, so maybe the humans are spreading out and conquering more of Pandora. Because at this point in humanity, they've said in this movie, the Earth is inhospitable, so like no one can live there anymore. So like before, it was just the humans were going to Pandora just to get resources and earn money. Now we're going there for survival, and as humanity, we all know that humans will do anything to survive. So the humans are not just going to fuck off lightly. So either they come to an agreement where the humans come to Pandora and live like the Na'vi, or the Na'vi wipe out the humans and let that happen. Is Jake Sully okay for that? Is Jake Sully okay with his old race being completely wiped out?
Well, he's no longer human, so what does he care?
I know, but that's kind of like fucked up though in a way.
That is fucked up, especially because he is such a compassionate character. He clearly loves peace, and he clearly abhors violence and all that stuff.
Which is kind of funny because in the first movie he's just a jarhead. Yeah. He is a marine. That is his whole purpose. The
Jarhead clan.
He's like, I'm part of the Jarhead clan. And they're like, okay, Jake Sully, whatever you say, mate.
He's in the way of the water now. The water's peace. The water's chill. Loving your family.
I will say though, talking about the effects and everything, that anyway, it's a good thing that all the actors that portrayed these Na'vi were unrecognisable as those actors. Maybe Sam Worthington as Jake Sully, he's pretty recognisable.
He's got a long face.
He does a very long face. Yeah. Maybe it's all the age, all the stress of James Cameron that telling him what to do.
Oh Christ, that aged me as well.
But who played the main lady in the Amaticaya clan? Lady from Titanic. Oh, Kate Winslet.
I was going to say Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet. She was completely unrecognisable. And I want to know how much she got paid for this, because she said she'd never work with James Cameron again.
Really?
Yeah, after Titanic. She nearly died like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
So I want to know how much she was paid for this.
That's got to be a stinking paycheck, that is.
Do you reckon it was just a kiss on the forehead and a fiver in a hand?
That would win me back, to be fair.
Exactly, I need it right now.
Yeah.
And they all did a great job, but again, the development just wasn't enough, to be fair. The real question is, though, was it worth the wait? Like, would you say this movie was worth the wait? Like I said, I think it was. What do you two think?
I would say yeah, but that's only because, for me, I enjoyed the first one. I mean, like, I was only like a kid when I watched it, but like I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it. I didn't really had anything against it. I just didn't care. So then, like, coming to see it again all these years later, it was nice to just.
Somewhat nostalgic, reminiscent.
Yeah, and just kind of sit back and just like be impressed by the visuals, because like they are amazing. In fairness, like I know I said about the Na'vi and stuff, but like for like 98% of the film, I thought it looked fantastic, and it's nice to just
get lost in a world.
Yeah.
Which is rare in cinema these days. Everything's such a product. Everything's
a reference or building up to something.
Exactly. And
or a cinematic universe.
Do you think that could happen to this well, it's a franchise now, let's be honest. It is a franchise.
I suppose technically it is its own universe.
And not only is it a franchise, it's also owned by the House of Mouse now, so what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, as long as like we don't get like Avatar meets Free Guy meets Marvel meets Disney's Christmas.
Well, maybe that's the fifth one.
Maybe that's what he's got in planned. Maybe the Atlantis crew and Pocahontas are going to turn up and they're going to
Luckily, I do feel like James Cameron has a very firm grip on this franchise. Like, I feel like he has full creative control.
I think he'd be visceral.
Or at least full control, or at least the majority control of this franchise.
I think he'd be violent.
Well, he would be, wouldn't he? I've heard stories on other sets.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Jimmy and his movies, the making of this movie. So I looked into quite a few things about how this movie was made. So obviously, 99% of this movie was CGI, obviously, and the effects are great, as we've discussed in plethora. But the sets, everything was there, just not as you see in it. So you know the skimming creature that they're riding in the water. It looks a bit like a shark with wings, you know that one?
Yeah.
They made that in real life. Obviously it didn't look like that. But you know, have you seen those water jetpacks?
Yeah.
Basically, James Cameron saw those, and he literally said, right, we're going to make this alien out of those, we're going to make 4 jetpacks on it, and we're going to put a human on it and see what happens. And that's literally how it went.
No way.
Because that's just James Cameron, and he's like, yeah, you will ride water jetpack. And like, Kate Winslet, she held her breath for 7.5 minutes.
Oh yeah, she beat the Tom
Cruise.
Tom Cruise, I was going to say Tom Jones.
In Mission Impossible 5, I think it was, which is 6 minutes 15. She did 7 minutes 15.
That's a kick in the teeth to Tom
Cruise.
It
is. It really is.
I'd be disgusted.
So wait for the new Mission Impossible. He's going to hold his breath for 25 minutes.
His head is going to explode in the water for realsies.
And he'll survive as well somehow.
Yeah, he'll come back looking exactly the same.
The Scientology aliens will save his life.
Yeah.
But it's just nuts to me. Like I said, with the making of these movies, like the fact that he wrote the first one in 1994. Like, he woke up from a dream of him walking through a forest covered with bioluminescence, and obviously that goes into the movie. Obviously everything's bioluminescent. And he went to a studio, I'm assuming Fox, because they made the movie, said, I want to make this movie. They were like, yeah, okay, James Cameron, you made Titanic, you made all these movies. And they were like, we have to do it practically though, because this technology just doesn't exist. And he just said, no. No, I'll wait.
Jesus. How could you
tell a multi-billion-dollar company no? And then they listen
James
to you.
Frickin' Cameron, okay?
And he just chucked the script in a drawer and he waited until he thought the technology was there.
How would he wait that long?
He waited 15 years and was like, okay, I'll do this later.
I would not wait that long.
And he just did it then.
I wouldn't.
And also, and some people asked him the question, like, how did you know when technology hit the point? He was like, I know it hit the point because I'm the one who made the technology. He was like, I'm the one who discussed with these people, I'm the one who paid them to make the technology to make this movie. Without me, this technology wouldn't exist. He's like, blatantly, mate. Like, I can't remember when it was or what movie it was for. It might have even been for Avatar. There was a camera that he wanted to shoot in that didn't exist yet, so he just made it.
What?
He just made a camera that could shoot in the way he wanted it to. It didn't exist before. Like, it was all concept, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna do this now.
Jesus.
And he's a director. He's not a cinematographer or an engineer to create the camera. He just thought, I'm going to learn how to do this, and I did it.
You've got to give him credit for that.
Like, he is so talented at what he does. Do you know what I mean?
He is so insane.
Oh, he's nuts. He's one of the angriest men to ever live. But then also, watching interviews after this movie, like, promoting it and stuff with him, he looks so happy. And it's such a stark contrast what everyone says on set. And I imagine that's probably because, 1, he wants to create the world that he wants to create. 2, the stress he's under from the studio and himself. But after the movie's out, and he's seen it, and he loves the movie, he's just there like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm content with how this has come out, and I love it.
Probably doped up on like 18 Valiums.
Well, I was watching an interview as well with him, actually, funny enough, talking about the making of the movie, about both of them. And apparently, Matt Damon was offered 10% of Avatar to play Jake Sully's role. He turned it down.
I'm glad. But why did he turn it down?
He just didn't think it would kick off.
Well,
didn't think it was going to work.
Look how wrong he
I
was.
know I was going to say, but you feel stupid then, Matt Damon.
You would all laugh at this, actually. When I was in the same interview, actually, the guy was like, "You'll have to about Matt Damon in the next one," isn't he? He's like, yeah, I will, of course, yeah, in the ending. And then he turns around, he's like, "I'm not getting 10% though." He's like, "Fuck him." He literally is just like, "Fuck him, I don't care." He's like, "You said no to Matt Damon, it's your fault."
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I'd watch. I wouldn't have watched
Matt
this
Damon.
if it was Matt Damon's giant forehead.
I
And
want
blue
to.
face.
I love you, Zoe Saldana. I
Yeah.
love you. Could you imagine if he took on that role? He'd have 270 million in the bank.
Jesus. I mean, he's probably fairly rich now. I mean, like, he is quite a big.
But is he
star.
270 million from one movie rich?
I don't know. We'll have to ask his good friend Ben Affleck.
His brother, Ben Affleck? Half brother? Are they half brothers? I'm sure I read that somewhere.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure
Frank, pull that shit up.
Actually, have a look at that, Frank, because I'm pretty sure they wrote Good Will Hunting together because they were like half brothers or some shit.
No, I thought they were just best friends.
We'll soon find out.
No, they were in like the same like college or some bollocks like that.
I might be completely wrong,
I
but
think we're both talking complete shit.
we'll soon find out, won't we?
Watch them hate each other now.
They're mortal enemies.
No, they are best friends, but Ben Affleck's brother's Casey Affleck, and he's like an actor and stuff.
Oh,
as
that
well.
would make sense then, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where I pulled that from then, some fucking random YouTube
Maybe they
video, I
called
imagine.
each other brothers because they're such good friends.
Like in this movie, actually, like in Avatar, where they say bro 100,000 times.
Yeah.
Bro! What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, step bro?
Oh well, that's a different movie. It is.
Yeah,
So-
I got it, boys.
What do you think?
Not only are Ben Affleck and Matt Damon distant cousins, but they're related to Barack Obama and Princess Diana.
Fuck off.
Oh, so it turns out all of Hollywood are incest and aliens after all then. Ah, well, I did not expect that. But you've all learned something today. If not about Avatar, you've learned about incestuous relationships in Hollywood. So what did you two think about the first movie, actually? If you can remember much.
I was gonna say I don't remember a lot. I liked it fine.
Bear in mind now, we were both 9.
Yeah.
I wasn't even 9 yet.
Well, you 8.
I will say, I was. Thing is, though, I will say I did rewatch it semi-recently, like about a year ago. So like I have a bit more of it in my head.
We probably should have, considering we're doing this. But I mean, I liked it fine. I think the visuals are great. Like we said, the story's been done a million times, but it suits the purpose. It's in space.
I was taken back quite a bit by it, actually, because again, I hadn't watched it since I was a child, and I watched it in preparation for this movie. Like, I know it was about a year ago, but I think that's when the hype train started for this movie. And I watched it, and I was taken back quite a bit by how good the effects looked for even 2009. Like, it's quite baffling. Like, it looks like it could have come out today. And I know that's a cliche to say about Avatar. Like, the effects are great, but you cannot, like, talk about how good the effects are without seeing them. You need to see them for yourself, put it that way.
I think a lot of the scenes are nice. Not just nice. Like when they're bonding and like you meet Zoe Saldana and all that stuff. I think they're generally lovely and they meet each other and stuff like that. I don't know. Basically, just my thoughts on this one. Like it's nice. It's cool. Characters are a bit shallow.
But it does the job.
It does the job. Yeah.
It does the job, and it made it's the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this is right up your alley, Fairburn. There were 5 licensed games for the first movie.
Wait, were
5 completely different games that were made for this movie.
Jesus, I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, James Cameron's Avatar, the video game.
Of course.
5 times over.
Yeah.
There was, I think the Xbox, PlayStation and PC were the same one. The Wii had its own, the DS had its own. All of these different ones had their own. And the thing is, I don't know now, obviously, but they were all canon at one point.
Were they?
So that could be interesting. And they all follow like different stories as well. They're not telling the same story, like they're from different clans and stuff. Obviously the Nintendo ones are a bit more family friendly, like Zelda clones.
Yeah, okay.
While the other ones are a bit more action orientated.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're actually alright. I think you'd enjoy playing them actually.
Oh well.
Probably pick them up for about £3.50 as well.
I was going to say take my trip to the local CEX.
No sponsorship.
Yeah, no, God, no.
No, bollocks to that.
I'd refuse sponsorship.
But it might be fun for us to have a little playthrough of that, actually.
It would be, actually.
Get involved more into the Avatar world.
Yeah, get immersed.
I think the main 2 or the main 3 versions were made by Ubisoft as well.
Okay.
And it was before Ubisoft were when, Ubisoft.
They weren't shit.
They weren't fully just Assassin's Creed production at this point. They were kind of like, we make a few games here and there, you can have this and that. But so I'd like to see what that game is like, actually. Like it looks good to me, and story-wise I looked into it and it looks really interesting. There were even mobile games as well, which is astonishing. 2009, what phones did we have in 2009 and there were mobile games?
Oh, I had a fucking
I had a BlackBerry.
I had one of them flip-up
So
ones.
imagine now you're flipping up your phone and you pull up James Cameron's Avatar, the video game. Now, right? How would you enjoy that? Would that immerse you into the world?
I would. I'd be immersed into the way of water completely on my on my keypad that I have to press 3 times.
On my unsponsored phone.
Yeah.
On my phone that my parents give me because they wanted a new one and they didn't want to buy me one.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the biology of the creatures and stuff as well. Like, I find it really interesting how, obviously, they're all quite similar to creatures on Earth, but they're also starkly different because obviously they're aliens at the same time. Like, you can see where they follow the evolutionary line. Like, everything is like, what would be like 6 legs? What's that called? Like, we are bipedal, quadrupedal force. What would 6 be?
Hector something. Let's have a look.
You'll find that out when I'm talking about this anyway.
I know the word, but I can't remember.
So pretty much all the creatures on Pandora have 6 legs, so they're that anyway. And they all follow the same evolutionary line, same way most creatures on Earth have 4 limbs, obviously. And the Na'vi, though, are quite humanoid. They have 4 limbs, and that is it. But I was looking into it, and I was quite confused. I was like, well, why do they look humanoid while everything else has 6 limbs? And apparently, there's a monkey sort of creature in the first movie that has also 6 limbs, but the upper 2 limbs are kind of merging together, which is like the missing link, so to speak, between those creatures and the Na'vi.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right. It was hexapedal.
Hexapedal. There we go. Fantastic. And again, that's so much thought though, just for that little thing. Because some people like me, who are of course very autistic, who was looking into that, like, why have they all got this many limbs and they haven't got this many limbs? I have to look into it, and those little things are what again make the world building so spectacular.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that's for people that are just into science. You know what I mean? Not even the narrative or the CGI. That's people that are into the world. Do you know that pretty much every piece of fauna and tree or plant life in the movie, or the first movie even, has like a full written paragraph on it and why it's there, what it does, how it helps the world.
On what?
On Avatar, like it's written in like the write-ups of the movies. And, like,
right.
Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
Yeah,
so there's attention to detail.
Same for the creatures, but that kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But the plant life, to go into that much detail,
yeah.
I imagine James Cameron did it all himself as well. But I don't know for sure.
I don't know. He probably had like a writing team along with him, but like he's definitely involved in that though. And he was probably involved in the games as well.
Just to think about that, though, isn't it? Like to think about, like you're watching the movie, you think like, oh, every plant on screen right now has a full write-up. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
How did you feel about Iwa, which is like the living planet, I suppose, Pandora itself. It's like the living entity, or the living computer, as they call it, like runs the entire planet. What did you think about that in these 2 movies?
I liked it. It was different. It's hard to explain, but not many films have like, you know, a living planet that everyone knows.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, thank you very much.
I was just thinking that.
Let me finish. It doesn't have a living planet that everybody living on it actually adores.
Right, okay.
Because the living planet in Guardians of the Galaxy kills everything on it.
That's fair enough.
And it's also itself.
I did look into it more as well, because I was interested in that, like the neural network, about how it works and everything. And apparently there are written rules, like the avatars, the Na'vi people. They cannot make a wheel. They cannot take the metal from the ground, which is why they're still living in, like, I suppose we would see it as the Stone Age, wouldn't we, as humans?
Yeah.
And they cannot. It's something else as well. I can't remember what it is, but basically it's everything that they our Iwa tells them not to do. Humans rock up and they're like, we've done it already. They're that evil. They're like, yeah, they're like, we're gonna knock down your giant tree and take all your metal.
We're gonna fuck you up.
I don't know how I feel about it in a way though. Like, is it like sentient?
I mean, I suppose so. Yeah, especially if it's a living computer. Yeah.
And like, it keeps the population at a certain level as well. Of like, so the Na'vi can't spread out too much and destroy the planet and stuff. So like, does it just hit a certain point and then chops them down like a blade of grass? It's like, no.
I mean, I suppose.
Is that too much of an omnipotent god though? Is that too much?
That is a little bit too much. Like, if it gets to like too many people, will it just shorten someone's life? Will it just kill someone instantly?
Does it just kind of like burn a part of the planet, but then that's killing the planet then as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then also, speaking about Iwa and stuff, so obviously Sigourney Weaver's character is quite like in touch with Iwa. I think that she's meant to be, say if Iwa's God, Sigourney Weaver's character is meant to be Jesus. We didn't really touch upon that in this movie.
Oh, yes, because she was She was just born without father.
Yeah, she was
wasn't
immaculately conceived, and she has like I say superpowers. She's very in touch with the planet, is able to move planets and stuff around with her mind, I suppose. Just like, well, I suppose Jesus could, because he has all these superpowers, I suppose.
So what you're saying is she's a cool Jesus.
She's a cool blue Jesus. She's a cool blue Sigourney Weaver child Jesus.
That's a pretty cool Jesus to worship.
She put that on a t-shirt, guys.
Yeah. Cool blue Sigourney Weaver Jesus.
If we put that out, that's well works now. See.
I think the franchise would be a lot more successful if they were centered around the fact that she's cool blue.
If we ever get merch, that's going to be on the t-shirt. We're going to contact Sigourney Weaver and James Cameron.
Yeah. And he's definitely going to say no. So.
We're not going to listen because bollocks to him.
Yeah.
And then if you know we've gone missing, you know what's happened, guys.
And if he sues us, well,
you'll never hear from us ever again.
Good luck, because we have no money.
Yeah.
So I'd say we've covered pretty much everything that I would have liked to have covered in this movie and this franchise so far, anyway.
Yeah, you never know.
What about you two, though? Like, is there anything you want to chuck on that maybe I haven't brought to attention, or you two haven't brought to attention?
Yes, the eldest son, the way he dies.
Oh, fuck, we forgot about... Oh, I did say earlier, but how... Yeah, go on.
He just gets shot.
Spoiler!
Oh, spoiler, yeah, spoiler. Sorry, guys, spoiler. But he just gets shot. He doesn't even get shot on camera. It's while he was dragging his brother away to safety. You cut back to him and he's like, oh, I've been shot, boys.
And that is it.
That's it. And then he just collapses to the floor and dies.
I suppose maybe they were going for like a shock factor, but
you didn't like him enough to be shocked.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough character development of him.
This is
was
what I
the
mean.
Younger brother.
I've got no attachment to these characters. This is why I'm so like 50-50 with everything, because like I just like I liked him fine.
So you would say you didn't have Pandora syndrome then?
No, I didn't. Not at all. No.
What if you watch it again?
No.
I wouldn't mind going to Pandora, but I'm not gonna,
You can't breathe on Pandora, though. Do you want to go to Pandora not to breathe?
Well, the breathing apparatus, like Spider.
Wouldn't you have to?
Infinite breathing apparatus.
If I'm going to Pandora, I'm going to be one of them blue cat people.
You're going to be a Navi. You're going to be an avatar.
Yeah.
You're as tall as one anyway, so, we'll just paint you blue and give you a tail, we will.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah, that'll be alright. I'm fine with
Start
that.
climbing through the trees.
Yeah, and then I'll have, like, cool Navi strength.
You can look at me, I'm Fabian Navi.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have to say, really. And I did. In conclusion, I did enjoy this movie. Again, a lot of this was negative, but again, that was plainly because there was so much movie to cover, and I enjoyed a lot of it. I disliked quite a bit of it, but in majority, I'd say I liked most of it.
I say the same. I liked it fine. I thought like pretty solid film. It's not like I said, it's not Shakespeare or anything. It's not deep, but
it's not meant to be though, is it?
Yeah.
So
I'd say for The Way of Water, it was a decently sized pool.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Fuck it. And I would also say it's a good stepping stone for the future of Avatar.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
I wouldn't say in James Cameron's career, because let's be honest, he's made it already.
Oh God, he doesn't need any more money.
Exactly. But we're gonna give it to him anyway, though, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Of course we are, because we're all fanboys and
Mhm.
fangirls.
Yeah,
Not
obviously.
anyone kicking off at me.
Well, the cat's here. Obviously, she's a fangirl. Frank, have you got anything to close out on?
No, I've said all I want to say.
Alright, then I think that's it for us, everyone.
This has been Shamullahcast. We know that you have a choice of 750,000 other podcasts out there. We thank you for choosing us to listen to.